Hello grade 4, how are you? Today we're taking estimate the product of a decimal and a whole number. Topic number 17, lesson 4. The objective of our lesson today is I can use rounding and compatible numbers to estimate the product of a decimal and a whole number. Let's take the first question. Renee needs 32 strands of twine for an art project. Each strand must be 1.25 centimeters long. About how many centimeters of twine does she need? So since I saw about, that means I need to estimate. Now look at this. 1.25 is between. I look at the whole, okay? Forget about the decimal. Look at the whole number. It is between 1 and 2. But since here I have a 25, I have 2, so it is closer to 1. So 1.25 is closer to 1. And 32, as we all know, it's between 30 and 40. But since we have here 2, it's closer to 30. So now I will take the numbers that I rounded. 1 and 30. So 30 times 1 equals 30. Look at this question. Is your estimate an overestimate or an underestimate? How can you tell? Now, here when I rounded 1.25, I rounded it to the smaller number. And 32, I also rounded into the smaller number. So in this case, I took a less answer, and so I said that it is underestimate. If I rounded both of them into the greater number, I would say it is overestimate. But it is underestimate because I rounded 32 to 30 and 1.25 to 1. So the estimate is less than the actual product. Let's take the second question. A wedding planner needs to buy 16 pounds of sliced cheddar cheese. About, that means I need to estimate how much will that cheese cost. So the words about how much means you only need an estimate. So she has to pay $2.15 per pound. Okay, so here I have 16 times 2.15. So 16, before we go to the second slide, think about 16. Look at the tens. I have 10. So 16 is between 10 and 20, but it is closer to 20. 2.15, I look at the whole. So it is between 2 and 3, but it's closer to 2. Look here. So I multiply 2 times 20 and the answer is $40. So the cheese will cost about $40. Or I can use a compatible number. Now, in the compatible number, remember that any number I choose is correct. So 2.15 is closer to $2. Now let's go to 16. 16 is between 10 and 20. In the compatible numbers, don't forget that we take also the halfway. So what is the halfway between 10 and 20? Perfect, 15. So here I multiply 2 times 15 and the answer is $30. So this is how we use the compatible numbers. We can take the halfway, but in the rounding, one answer is correct. Okay, so this is the difference between the rounding and the compatible numbers. Now, about how much money would 18 pounds of cheese cost if the price is $3.95 per pound? Use two different ways to estimate the product. So I need to use compatible numbers and rounding. Let's use the rounding first. So 18 is between 10 and 20, but it's closer to 20. So I'm gonna say it's a 20. 3.95, it's between 3 and 4, but here I have 95, so it's closer to 4. So in this case, I will multiply 2 times 4 equals 80. So this is about the rounding. Now, let's go to the compatible numbers. 18, as we said before, is between 10 and 20. But what is the halfway? The halfway is 15. So I'm taking 15 here. And here, of course, we're taking 4. So I will multiply 15 times 4, and the answer is $60. Now, if it's overestimate or underestimate. Rounding gave me an overestimate. Why? Because I rounded 18 to a greater number, and I rounded 3.95 also into a greater number. Okay, that's why it is overestimate. And using compatible numbers gave me an underestimate. Why? Because in the compatible numbers, I took 18 I said that 18 is close to 15, and 15 is less than 18 by 3. So it is underestimate. Another example. Manuel walks a total of 0.75 miles to and from school each day. If there have been 105 school days so far this year, that means I'm going to estimate. How many miles has she walked in all? So I'm going to multiply. Okay, if I'm rounding, I round to the nearest whole number. So 105 is 105. Or you can say 100, right? Because 105 is between 100 and, if I'm rounding to the nearest 100, between 100 and 200. So 100 or 105, both are correct. Then I can round. Okay, now look here. 0.75. I have 0. So 0.75, focus on this, is between 0 and 1. So since I have here 7, of course it is closer to the greater one, which is 1. So the estimate is 1. So 105 times 1 is 105. But if I used compatible numbers, as we said, any number we choose for the compatible numbers will be correct. We may have more than one correct answer. But here they said that I'm going to choose a compatible number of 105 equals 100. Here also we can choose 100, okay, if I'm rounding to the nearest 100. So both are correct. But the difference is here in the decimal. They choose to deal with 75 as a number by itself, okay? So they said that 75 is close to, it's between 70 and 80. So 0.70 and 0.80. But it is closer to 80 since it's 75. So it is closer to 80. So they wrote 0.8 or 80. They are equivalent, right? 100 times 0.8 equals 80. How do I multiply the decimals? If I'm multiplying by a number with zeros, I will move the decimal point to the right 2 times by the number of the zeros here. So move it 1, 2. Okay, I don't have anything here, so I'm going to write 0. So the answer is 80. Question number 1. There are about 20 school days in a month. About how many miles does Manuel walk each month? Write an equation to show your work. So 20, okay, times now 0.75 equals 15. Look at question number 2. Without multiplying, which estimate in the another example do you think is closer to the exact answer? Now, of course, the compatible number. Do you know why? Because 0.80 is closer to 0.75 than 1. That's why, because I need only 0.05, and I need only 5 hundredths to get into 80, 0.80. But till 1, I need 0.25. So I need 25 hundredths to get to 1. So of course, the compatible numbers are closer to the exact answer. Now let's solve these questions. 2.87, it's between 2 and 3, but since I have here 8, it's closer to 3. So 3 times 412, it's between 400 and 500, but since I have here 12, so it's closer to 400. So 3 times 400, 1,200. Question number 4, 943 times 1.98. So 943 is between 900 and 1,000. But here I have in the tens 4, so it is closer to 900. 1.98 is between 1 and 2. But since here I have 9, so it's closer to 2. So I'm multiplying 900 times 2. Question number 5, 107 times 5.15. So 107 is between 100 and 200, but it's closer to 100. 500.15 is between 5 and 6. But since I have 15, so it is closer to 5. So I will multiply 100 times 5, and the answer is 500. Now, question number 6, 4.06 or 4.6 hundredths. So 4 is between 4 and 5. But since I have in the tenths 0, so it's closer to 4. So I'm choosing 4 times 73 is between 70 and 80. But since I have 3, so 73 is closer to 70. The answer is 280. Here, look at this question. 41.05 or 5 hundredths. Now, in this case, we may have more than one correct answer. One of you will say, teacher, I want to round it to the nearest number, which is 41. It's totally correct. 41 times 300. But here they choose the compatible numbers. Why? It is easier to multiply 40 than multiplying 41 by 300. So here we use the compatible numbers to make it easier for us to multiply. Question number 8. 8.95. So 8 is between 8 and 9. Okay, in this case, it is closer to 9 because here I have 9. So I choose 9 times 21 is between 20 and 30. But since I have only 1, so of course it's closer to 20. So 9 times 20 equals 180. So this was our lesson for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please solve the independent practice and send it to me. Goodbye, everyone. I love you all.